In this video, I'm going to show you two major things, and both of them I think have the potential to change the way that you build your recycler views for the rest of time until recycler views are gone and we're on to using whatever the newest thing is. So the first one I'm going to show you is I'm going to use a template that I built to create a RecyclerView adapter. And for those of you who have been around Android development for any amount of time, know that building these adapters are pretty much the same thing over and over again. They require quite a bit of code, and it's basically just a pain most of the time. So having a template that you can use, so I'm literally going to be right-clicking on the package, going to create adapter, and the adapter will basically be generated for me. And I'm going to show you how to do that in your Android Studio also. And the second thing I'm going to show you is how to take DiffUtil to the next level. So for those of you who don't know what DiffUtil is, it's currently the best practice way to update your RecyclerView list items. So when you're submitting a new list to your RecyclerView or submitting updates to your RecyclerView, it will calculate the best way to update that list using a built-in algorithm, and it will also show animations to your RecyclerView. So it looks quite cool. So the problem with that is by default, DiffUtil is the movements of the items are calculated on the main thread, so you can lose frames in some cases if you have big lists or lists with images, things like that, which I was actually seeing in some of my projects. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is showing you how to use a new class or a different class which leverages DiffUtil to calculate those updates in the background. So there's no risk of slowing down the main thread, which is really the issue here. And this sounds complicated, but it's very simple, I promise. There's only a few extra lines of code compared to what you're doing with DiffUtil. And if you don't even know what DiffUtil is, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you everything you need to know in this video. So this is going to be really valuable too, I think. I think you're going to get a lot of value from this, and I'm sure you're going to be using my template in all of your projects because it's just a quick way to build a RecyclerView, and it's going to have DiffUtil built in there, everything you need. So let's get started and let's take a look at the code. All right, so as I said, I'm going to be showing you how to create a template in Android Studio so that you can I'll show you what you're going to be able to do before we actually do it. So suppose you wanted to create a RecyclerView adapter, you would right click on the package that you want to create it in, you would normally go to new, you would create a new Kotlin file, but what I'm going to show you by the end of this video is instead of going to new Kotlin file, you're just going to go down here, you're going to click on list adapter, and then you're going to enter some fields. This is going to be my blog post recycler adapter, I'll call it. That's going to be the class name of the file. The model class is the model that you're modeling in the adapter, so that's the thing that's going to be shown in the view holder for those of you who know how to use a RecyclerView. And yes, I expect you to know how to use a RecyclerView. The view holder class, so this is just a name, it doesn't matter. So I can do blog post view holder, and then the layout ID. In this case, my layout is layout blog list item. And you can see that down in the layout file here. So it's layout blog list item. That's the layout name for the layout that this is going to be inflating. So I click OK. Android Studio generates this for me. The only thing I got to do is add the imports for the blog post. And then this R import, whatever that's called. So pretty simple. The only reason it's giving me an error down here is because inside bind I have a to do which you need to fill out. So this is where you would bind all the things in your view holder. That's it. So that's the only thing you got to fill out other than the DiffUtil callback right here. So pretty awesome, pretty straightforward. Now it would take me another 1 minute to fill this out and my RecyclerView adapter would be ready to go. So by the end of this video, this is what you are going to be able to do. So I'm going to delete this and we are going to create the template and then we'll actually use the template to make sure that it's working. So I'm deleting that and now let's create that template. Okay, so where are the templates kept first of all? Well, you want to go to File, you want to go to Settings, and my settings window is way too big. I need to make that smaller. So here's my settings window. You want to, here's what you'll see. So you want to go to Editor, you want to go to File and Code Templates, and here are where all the templates are for Android Studio. So anything that's generating any kind of code, you will find in here in Android Studio. So what we want to do is we want to create a new one. So what you would want to do is click on this plus sign right here, and you would want to name this list adapter or whatever you want to call it. It could be RecyclerView adapter, list adapter, whatever you want, and you want to change the extension to Kotlin if you're using Kotlin, so KT, or Java if you want to build a Java template. So I've already created a template named list adapter, so I don't want to create it. I don't want to duplicate this. So we're just going to look at the one that I've already created. So I'm going to actually delete this one. I'm going to click the minus sign on that and go to this list adapter that I've created here. And I know there's not a lot of room here, but what's in here, don't worry. Just pay attention to the things that I point out. So far you should have a name and you should have an extension. This will be empty. This whole box here will be empty for you. Don't worry about what's down here. Don't worry about any of these. Who cares? The thing you are worried about is the content for the template. And in this video, I'm not going to explain really how to make the template. I'm just going to show you how to use the template. If you are interested in learning how to make templates, maybe let me know in the comments and I'll make another video for that. But this specific video is for creating the adapter, using DiffUtil, all that stuff. So what's going to go inside here? Well, I've obviously already done this ahead of time for you to save you time. So there's going to be a link in the description to this gist right here. So go down below. There'll be a link to this is the template. So go to this gist and just all you got to do is copy this whole thing. This is the template that you're going to put into Android Studio that I have so kindly made for you. So copy that, go back to Android Studio, and then just select all and paste it in here. And that's going to be your template. Once that's in here, we just click apply or click OK, whichever or both, and you're ready to use the template. So this is a beautiful thing. Like I said, you're going to be using this in all your projects, I'm sure. So now that we have this template, the code actually that I'm working with here, I should let you know, this is part of a course on my website. If you want this exact code that I'm working with, you could just go to, it's part of the MVI course on my website. By the way, if you want to watch it, just go to codingwithmitch.com, click on Model View Intent Architecture right here. That's what the course I'm referring to here. But if you want to just get the code, go to GitHub, go to MVI example on my page here, and that's going to be the code that you're going to want to look at. The branch that I'm starting with, if you check out this from version control, the branch that I'm on right now is called state events right here, state events. So if you want the code exactly as I'm looking at it right now, just go to that branch and we can build the recycler view. But I always recommend watching the course, obviously, and you'll get much more than what I'm showing you here. This is only one lecture out of around, I think, 15 or 16 on MVI architecture. So I encourage you to check that out. So now let's build this adapter. So I'm going to right click on the package that I want the adapter in, which is the main package in UI. And there you should see now this list adapter template has been added to your menu. So I can click on this and I can fill this out. So before I fill this out, I actually want to talk about the fields. So the file name is obviously just the file name. I would call it the adapter. Now, what is this model class? Well, the model class is what you want to show in the recycler view. So in our case, the demo that I'm building here is showing these little blog posts. So there's a title, there's an image, and there's some other properties that you can't see. So if I go into my model package, go into blog post, that's going to be this right here. So there's a primary key, a title, a body, and an image. Even though in the demo app, there's no body that you can see, you can't see the primary key, those are still properties to that blog post item. So this is what we are modeling. So when I go to create my recycler view, in the main package again, go and create that list adapter. That's the model. So this is going to be blog list adapter is what I'm going to call it. The model package or the model class is going to be blog post, which matches the class that I have right here. And I don't know why I pointed at my screen. You can't see me pointing at my screen as if you were standing behind me. And then the view holder doesn't matter. It's just a name. So in this case, it's going to be a blog post view holder. It's just a name. It's the view holder for the recycler view. And the layout is important. This has to match the layout blog list item. So this has to match the layout that you have for the recycler view. In this case, mine is layout blog list item.xml. So I'm clicking that, and now that class will be generated. And as I said, we have to do a few imports. So just get the blog post import, get the R import, and we're ready to use our adapter. So that's how to use the template stuff. Now we need to fill out this template and actually use it. So the first thing I want to talk about, I guess, now is DiffUtil. So if you watched my other video on DiffUtil, which I'll actually just bring up really quickly here. So if I go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/codingwithmitch, I made a DiffUtil video just a few days ago. It's not this one. So if you go to videos, and you scroll down, it should be this one right here, RecyclerView Performance with DiffUtil. So in that video, I showed you how to use DiffUtil, which is the thing I'm going to show you in this video, but now taking it to the next level. And if I explained it at the beginning of the video, but what DiffUtil does is it has a built-in algorithm that calculates the updates when you submit new items to a RecyclerView. The problem with using the default DiffUtil is it does those calculations on the main thread. So what I'm going to be showing you in this video is an extension of it, which will do those calculations on a background thread. And for those of you who are quite familiar with this process, this kind of thing, it's going to be basically what they show you in the list adapter. So I'm going to do Android X list adapter. If I search that, this is the class that actually would be taking it to the next step. So this class, as you'll read right here, says this is a convenience wrapper around AsyncListDiffer that implements adapter common default behavior for item accessing and counting. So what AsyncListDiffer does is it uses DiffUtil. So you can see this kind of tiered system. So tier 1 is DiffUtil, which calculates those updates on the main thread. Tier 2 is using the AsyncListDiffer, which takes DiffUtil and does those calculations on a background thread. And then the third kind of tier is using this list adapter class that I'm showing you right here, which basically doesn't do anything different. It just packages all that up together. So it packages together the AsyncListDiffer and the DiffUtil. And so now your question is probably, why didn't I use the list adapter? Because if you take a look at the generator that I used here, I take a look here, you can see that I'm using AsyncListDiffer. So why did I use AsyncListDiffer when I just explained that that's only tier 2 in my explanation, but the list adapter would be tier 3. And the reason for that is, well, there's a couple reasons. Number one is I just like the way that this looks better. If you take a look at what the list adapter class looks like when you use it, it's quite ugly. So I think I saved an example for you here just to show you. I thought I did. Yeah, list adapter implementation. So if we look here and we take a look at the RecyclerView adapter class for using a list adapter, let me just bring it up here. This should be this one here, right here, main list adapter. I just think it looks uglier. Like I don't like this big extension. You have to put a callback into the top, into the extension. So it doesn't really play well with code generators. So if I was to build a code generator for this, it would be a lot trickier because you have an inner class that's being used in the extension. So I don't even know if you can do that, to be honest, if you can put that up there. You probably could, but yeah, I'm sure you could. But it just looks more complicated to me. So instead, I decided to use AsyncListDiffer just because I think it looks better, which is for the first reason. It does exactly the same thing, and I thought I had a second reason, but I can't remember now. So we'll go with I think it looks better. It does exactly the same thing, like literally identical same thing. I just think it looks better. Okay, I have one reason. I think it looks better. Oh, I remembered my second reason now, because in a more complex project, I wanted to add some custom logic to the submit list method. And if you use the list adapter, you have to override the submit list method. Whereas here, I'm building it anyway, and I can just put my logic in. That's what it was. Not really a big deal, just kind of little things. It's like programmer problems. Like, who really cares? It's the same thing. So anyway, let's take a look at the AsyncListDiffer and talk about how this works. So there's only really two things that you need to do. You want to create a diff callback, so an object of type DiffUtil.item callback, and specify the model. And then inside here, you want to fill out these two functions, these two do's, which kind of determine the behavior of your AsyncListDiffer. So are items the same? In this case, you want to compare two parts of the items that you're comparing that are unique. So if you have a primary key or something that doesn't change, that's what you want to compare here. And we do, as you saw in the model, we have primary keys on these. So I'm just going to do old item equals new item dot primary key, because if you guys know anything about databases, which I expect most of you do, you know that a primary key is like a unique identifier for a particular object. It's guaranteed to be unique. So determining if one item is the same as another item, you can just check the primary key. Next, you want to check the contents of the item. And this is used to actually make the update to the list items. So if imagine you have a list of objects, a list of, whatever, it could be these blog posts, and you later want to, a change is made to the blog post on the server, a new request is made, so now you need to update that blog post in your RecyclerView because maybe the body's changed, maybe the image has changed, whatever. A specific property of that same blog post has changed. So that's where you want to use that's what the R contents the same method is for. So in this case, all you want to do is old item equals new item. And that will compare the two objects and determine if their contents are different. Pretty simple. Next, you need a AsyncListDiffer object, and in that object, you just need a reference to the adapter, and then you need a reference to your diff callback, and that's pretty much it. So now that's all you need to do to take advantage of all the capabilities that come with the DiffUtil class, and also making those updates asynchronously. The only other thing you need is whenever you're so you notice that there's no list of items at the top of this adapter. That's because they are implicitly set in the AsyncListDiffer, or not implicitly, they're actually explicitly set. So if you scroll down, you'll take a look at the onBind viewHolder method, for example. If you see the object that we're passing here, we're referencing the AsyncListDiffer, getting the current list, and then getting the object that way. So basically, the list of data is kept inside of the AsyncListDiffer, as opposed to, usually you would have an array list, like you'd usually have private value list equals your array list, and that would be your list of objects at the top of the file. But in this case, it's kept inside the AsyncListDiffer. So anytime you need to access that, you just write differ current list, and then you can get the objects. The next is the get item count. So again, differ current list, get the size. Submit list is the method for submitting new list items to the current list. It's just differ.submitList, pretty simple. And then coming down, you have the blog post view holder, which we still need to fill out. That's why it's giving me an error here. And oh, excuse me, I'm gonna burp. And by the way, for those of you who don't understand what this interaction thing is here, I'm gonna burp again. What this interaction thing is here, it's an interface for detecting clicks. So it's declared down here. It just says on item selected. It passes the position of the item that was selected and the actual object that was clicked. So it's just an on-click listener for the items. And if you scroll up to the top, you can see that is passed through the constructor. It's a nullable property, so you don't need to use it if you don't want to, but it's just for detecting clicks to your RecyclerView, because that's a very common thing that you have to do, detect clicks to your RecyclerView. So as I was saying, down in the bind method, this is where we want to set the fields to our view holder. So let's do the first one. The first one will be itemView.title, the blog title, and I can just do text, and that's going to equal the item.title. And then next we want to use glide to set the image. So glide.width itemView.context, get the context, and then I want to load the URI. In this case, it's going to be the item.image, and then I want to load that into the image view. So itemView.blog image. And for some reason, this is giving me a warning. I don't know what was going on there, but seems to be fine now. So that's all you need to do to set this up. It's very simple, as you can see. Using the template, it makes everything very, very simple. And you know that this is now going to be the best practice way to update your RecyclerView items asynchronously. So you're pretty much guaranteed that if you rotate your screen, your list items are set again. If you get a new list of items, that this is not going to be the reason that your UI is freezing if your UI is freezing. So just to kind of finish this up and complete everything, let's actually set up this adapter. So I'm going to go into main fragment and just kind of initialize the adapter and connect everything and set everything up. So late init variable, it's going to be main recycler adapter, I'll call it. It'll be a, did I call it main, or did I call it, I think it was actually blog list adapter. I'll change this name to blog list adapter just to keep it consistent. So blog list adapter equals blog list adapter. Whoops, this should not be equals. This is just a type. So blog list adapter. So now I want to go and build a method for initializing the RecyclerView and setting up the adapter. So scrolling down, I'm just going to go down below on create view. Is it on create view? You're on view created. Private function, it'll be called init RecyclerView. RecyclerView. And inside here, I'm going to do RecyclerView. So I'm referencing the RecyclerView in the layout, going to apply. So now I have an implicit reference to the RecyclerView within this apply function. I'm going to set the layout manager first. So linear layout manager. Going to reference the activity because we are inside of a fragment. So I'm referencing the activity for the context. I'm writing I need to create a top spacing item decorator, which I haven't created yet. So I'll wait for that. We still need to make that class. The blog list adapter, I can initialize that. So blog list adapter, and I'm actually going to add an interface for that interaction that I talked about. So inside here, remember we have this interaction interface for detecting clicks. I'm going to implement that in the fragment so that we can make use of that. Now set the adapter, so adapter equals blog list adapter, and it's ready to go other than the interface. So scrolling up to the top, I'm going to write a comma and write the interaction. So interaction, get that, and then come over to the warning, press Alt Enter, implement members, get that on click method or that on item selected method, and inside here we can just write some logs for printing out when a list item is clicked. So print line, it'll be debug clicked, and I can just reference the position, and then I'll do one more. I'll do debug clicked, and I'll reference the item. So I'll just write item. That way we can at least test the click to see if it's working. So no big deal here, nothing fancy, just detecting a click and printing something to the log if that thing is clicked. So that should be it. I just need to call a init RecyclerView inside of onViewCreated. And like I said, if we take a look at the demo here, we have some top spacing in between each of the list items. So I quickly just need to create a top spacing item decorator and then apply that. So going to the util package, right clicking, go to new Kotlin file. This is going to be called top spacing item decoration. So top spacing item decoration. It's going to be class top spacing item decoration. We want one parameter, which is going to be the spacing. So value padding, this is going to be an integer, and it's going to extend RecyclerView dot item decoration. Now inside here, we just need one override method. So I'm pressing Control O, getting the get item offsets override method. It doesn't matter which one you use. Oh, this one's actually the deprecated one. So I'm going to use the other one. I did that last time too. So Control O, get the non-deprecated one, and inside here we just want to do out rectangle dot top and reference that padding that we passed to the constructor. And this is giving me a warning because I didn't initialize that. So that's our top spacing item decorator. Now we're going to go back to main fragment and just apply that. So value top spacing item decoration equals top spacing item decoration. I'm going to set some padding in there, and then we want to set that to the adapter. So I can just do add item decoration, top spacing item decoration. And actually before we run it, I did forget to do one thing. We do need to set the data. So if I'm scrolling down to the subscribe observers method, and again, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't worry about this. You know, just know that what I'm doing here is I'm submitting list items to the RecyclerView. All this code is going to look very confusing to you. If you want to know more about it and you want to know more about what I'm doing here, watch my MVI course on my website. Again, I'll point that out. Just go to codingwithmitch.com, click on Model View Intent Architecture. If it's not there and you're watching this like a year later from when I filmed it, just go to courses and you'll find it in there. So we need to submit those list items to the RecyclerView. So I just need to write blog list adapter dot submit list, and I can write it to reference that list because it's being passed through this what are these called, this utility function up here. You could also explicitly, give this a name to the lambda, be like list, and then print that here. Either way, not important. The important thing here is that we're submitting this list to the RecyclerView. So now let's click the play button and let's run it and take a look to see if everything's working. All right, so here's the demo app on the screen. I'm going to open this so I can get more room in the log over here. And I'm going to filter on debug because that's what we're interested in. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you're not watching it on my website. This is just a simple app where I click this, it shows a progress bar for 1 second, then retrieves the results. And then there you can see that RecyclerView is being set. And you could rotate this, you could add a whole bunch more list items, whatever. You're pretty much guaranteed that this thing is not going to lag because we are using that AsyncListDiffer and the DiffUtil. So pretty cool. Also, if you were to update the list with like new items, it has a really cool animation, which I don't have the capability to show you that with this project, but take my word for it, the animation is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's going to be it. And now let's test the clicks. So if I click on one of those, notice it prints out the position right there. So I clicked item number 6. That one's going to be item number 7, item number 8. so the click listener is working perfectly. So that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Like I said, I'm guessing you guys are going to be using this in all your projects because it's a nice little template. You don't have to worry about, creating a RecyclerView adapter from scratch every time. It's got a built-in click listener. It's got the built-in AsyncListDiffer, so your list items are going to be updated asynchronously, also with an animation. Actually, let me show you the animation. I think I have another project on this emulator, and we can see the animation. So here, okay, so here's the other course I'm working on, the Powerful Android Apps course, interacts with a REST API that I built. So if we look at this actually does have the animation. So I'll do a filter. So I'll actually just click up here and I'll filter this on Kotlin and I'll click enter. And you can see that kind of that animation that it showed there. And if I look at one of these list items and I was to do another search, so I'm going to close the keyboard so you can really see it. Oh, you can't. Well, anyway, I'll do a search. Well, that didn't show the animation because it stayed on the same list item. But anyway, you can see that if you do filter, it shows that kind of animation. And it's even cooler than that. Like if you filter them certain ways, they'll like reorder themselves and shift around. It looks really cool. Take my word for it or play around with it yourself. So anyway, that is going to be it for this video. And just to kind of reiterate on everything that I showed you, we built a template, and that template is going to be available as a gist. There'll be a link in the description. If you want to know more about the app that I was building or more about different architectures, go to my website, check out my Model View Intent Architecture course, or the app that I showed you at the end there is the Powerful Android Apps with Jetpack Architecture course. So those are the ones you're going to want to check out, or go to courses. I have plenty of free ones, plenty of paid ones. Mostly I focus on Jetpack these days, but there's tons of other stuff like building a Spotify clone, so like how to build a music playing app. I have a camera course, which is outdated, but it's still there, and tons of stuff for beginners too. So if you're a beginner, scroll down, go to beginners, and you want to follow this kind of learning path right here, and that's going to show you how to get started with Android development. So that's going to be it. I'm ending the video. I've talked too much. I'll see you in the next one.